See, that's why when people tried to kill Christ before that day he got crucified, it never worked. He never fought anybody or nothing. It just didn't work because it wasn't his time. Do you understand? So God designed a time for everything that's supposed to happen to you. It's a time connected to it. And we have problems because we can't tell time. It's always the right time for something you want. It's always the right time. Think about it, y'all. God created the whole earth. He created the whole earth in 6 days. Everything Adam needed in the garden was created before Adam was put in the garden. If he puts Adam on earth before he creates anything, Adam is on earth without a purpose. That's why it's a time connected for everything. Adam could not get into the garden until after everything was made, because God prepares a place for you. And if the place is not prepared, it don't matter if you're prepared or not. Because you are prepared for a place and a time. You are not just fashioned to do something anywhere at any time. You're not called to everybody. You're called to somebody. That's it. You're not called to do everything for God. You're called to do something. Okay? He makes everything beautiful in his time. Now watch this. He also set eternity in the hearts of men, yet they cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. He said, "What? This will make me feel stupid as a man." God says, "I put eternity in you. I put my mind in you. I put my intellect in you. I put my power in you. I put my eyesight. I put my ears in you. I put it in your heart, and you still cannot fathom or calculate what I'm doing from the beginning to the end." Do you understand? That's like me saying, "I'm going to give you the answers to a test," and you're still not going to be able to pass. It's like failing an open book test, y'all. He said, "I put all of this in your heart, but none of you guys can perceive this, because that's just how great God is." You know why? Because if God showed you what your purpose was, you might not like it. That's why he don't tell you. He don't tell you, like if somebody had told me my brother was going to die this year, I would have told you whatever's connected to that, for me, I don't want it. Because I would rather him be here, right? But what if everything I'm doing, and I'm not saying that is, was connected to him dying? Now, if God shows me that, and I say, "God, I don't want that. I don't want that to happen." Well, what about what I'm supposed to do? What about the people I'm supposed to touch? What about the people I'm supposed to speak to? So God gave you the ability to find out, and then gave you the inability to find out. See, this is how God is, because he has to let you know you called, but he got to let you know he's sovereign. He got to let you know that it's certain things I'm going to do in the earth that I'm going to use you to do it, but you ain't going to know that you ain't going to know anything about it. You're just not going to know, because he makes everything beautiful in its time. Okay? For instance, I ran into a woman when I was younger that had 2 kids. I really liked her, right? I ain't get with her because she had 2 kids. Having 2 kids wasn't beautiful for me at that time. So I ain't mess around with the girl. Now I got 2 of my own. It's beautiful to me now. See, what I'm trying to say is as you mature, you're able to accept God's will. You're able to accept God's will. I think the mistake that we make is that we don't understand that God makes things beautiful in its time. Just because you don't like something now does not mean you won't like it then. Just because you don't like it on Monday don't mean it ain't God's will on Wednesday. But what we do is, whatever we don't like on Monday, we toss out. Then when you get to Wednesday, you realize that, oh my God, I wish I had what I had on Monday. Because that's how we think. Y'all see that? God is saying he put eternity, he put purpose in your heart, but none of us can see it, including me. I don't know everything God wants me to do. I can't know, because there are things attached to what you do. He's worried about the stuff you don't like. He worried about the stuff you don't like. He not worried about, like, if you're supposed to be a millionaire, he know you're going to like the money. But he's afraid of what you might not like. So he covers that from you. God is smart. He's going to cover that from you. Like if I said it's $1 million right there in that corner. And it was like, you know what? However, it's a bunch of landmines around that $1 million. But you can have it. Go get it. Right? Most of us ain't trying to get that $1 million. Not with them landmines there. Because in your mind, you like, man, you know what? That money look good, but I might not ever make it to the money. If you step on the land, that's how God is. He ain't going to show you the landmines in the field, because you will never walk the field. You will be tentative your whole life. You don't step out on anything because you don't understand what God has called you to. You don't. You really don't. And I'm talking to myself too. So we get real afraid, right? Okay. John 9, 1-3. John 9, 1-3. Now, what we got to understand about purpose is that purpose is not something that fluctuates. I can't stand when people say this. Well, if you start doing what you're supposed to, God gonna bless you. I don't believe in that. I know it sounds crazy. I don't believe in that. I believe, okay, so what you have, do you deserve what you have now? No. You don't deserve what you have now. See, we connect too much stuff with us. That's why we messed up. It's like, you know what, man, you know, could you be somebody else? Could you? No, you can't be nobody else. Watch this, watch this. John 9:1. As he went along, he saw a blind man from birth. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, that this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Neither this man nor his parents sinned, said Jesus, but this happened so that the work of God might be displayed in his life. Wait a minute. A man was blind just so God could show other people who he was. Now they looking at this man saying, this man is blind. Back in those days, they believed that a person who had like a illness like blindness or deaf or mute, it was because it was sin in their family. What he's saying here is, he said like, man, is he blind because he got sin in his family? Dude, like, Jesus like, no, dog. He's blind because I want to show people who I am. So he made this man uncomfortable. He made him not be able to see. And if you keep reading on, he was blind for years. He had been out there blind for a long time. And people was judging him like, he's a sinner. He ain't worth nothing. And Jesus said, I made him blind only because I want to do a work in his life that will show everybody else who I am. Because his purpose was being magnified in this guy's shame. I want y'all to see that. He was living a shame life. He was blind. He was begging. And God was comfortable with letting him be blind and be talked about just so he can show people who he is. That was the reason. Now, it wasn't beautiful then. It wasn't beautiful when it happened, right? It wasn't beautiful when he was blind. But if you keep reading and you see this, you'll see that the Pharisees started getting upset. They started getting upset about this man being healed. And you know what, them man, they was getting on his case. His mother and father was scared they was going to kick him out the synagogue. He said, man, all I know is at first I was blind, now I see. Now you got to understand, for Jesus to perform this miracle for him, how beautiful was that? Think about it. How beautiful was it to be blind your whole life and the Son of God walk up on you and now all of a sudden you can see. Okay? But the miracle was not for him to be able to see. The miracle was so all the people who thought they could see actually see now. We don't understand that God had no invested interest in the blind man. He had interest in everybody who would see him when he was able to see. See, you think that God want to get you out your situation because he want to get you out. That ain't why he want to get you out. God want to get you out because somebody got to see you get out. It ain't really about you at all. He healed this man's blindness only because he wanted people to see who he was. That's the only reason why he healed him. He didn't have any other invested interest in the man. Matter of fact, you don't hear about this man again in the Bible. You don't hear about him. All you hear is this big old commotion. And you know what? We are not comfortable in situations where we don't understand. You know why? You know why you mad right now? On April 22nd, when my brother died, super mad. It wasn't beautiful. It ain't beautiful now. But it looked a whole lot better than it used to look, because I'm maturing. God is speaking to me. He's comforting me, letting me know, and giving me understanding about certain things, okay? Now, Exodus 14. Exodus 14. Because when you talk about purpose, the problem with purpose is we all think we have individual purposes. Right? So he thinks that he got a purpose. It ain't connected to mine. He just got a purpose. I have a purpose, but it ain't connected to Kelly's. Torah's got a purpose, but it ain't connected to Francis. See, what we got to understand is that nobody has a purpose by themselves. This is the reason why we compete with each other, because you think my purpose might be bigger than yours or yours bigger than mine. Nobody has a purpose. Nobody has a purpose, because the Bible says we're called according to his purpose. So none of you really have one. Do you understand? You don't really have a purpose. You don't have a purpose. You don't have a reason to get rich. You don't have a reason to get poor. Nobody really has a purpose. It's his purpose. And he manipulates the strings the way he wants to manipulate them to make sure it happens. Do y'all see that? You don't really have a purpose on your own. I see that all the time. Well, you know, God, he called me to do this. Well, let me tell you something. If God called you to do something and it's by yourself, he ain't called you to do it. I'm telling y'all, he ain't called you to do nothing by yourself. I can show you all